Hello and welcome back, or welcome to 20 Good Summers. I'm Paulina and this is...
Jeff Greenstein. I never know how many words are going to precede.
the fabulous, the
super-
magnificent, my love, the man in my life.
We've changed venue again. Actually, we just moved upstairs from downstairs. So you're seeing yet another take on this. And blazing afternoon sun, which means I look like a large, I don't know, pink grapefruit.
And I decided that I look like a UPS box.
No. Anyway. All right. So
Well, for those of you who can't see us because you're not watching this on YouTube, we have seriously different skin colors
yes.
up here. And yes, by the time we're done with this podcast, or actually just like a month and a half into this podcast, you will have probably seen every room of Jeff's house.
Yes.
And then you will keep on going and seeing every room of my apartment in New York. This is just how we roll. This is a total family affair.
Correct.
It's just Jeff and I. Jeff figured out all the technical stuff, and I am figuring out... Well, actually, I guess I'm not. I'm just contributing my sparkling personality. Right?
That's fine. That's all you have to contribute. You don't have to do any more than that. That is more than enough.
I definitely can't supply the technical stuff. But so this episode, this is episode 3, and we decided to do this one all about dating because we have gotten a lot of mail and a lot of comments from people that would love to hear about dating in your middle age. I mean, it's like dating in the last third of life, really.
Yes.
Seriously. And this is obviously a really interesting topic to us as well, because this is how we met.
That's right. When we met, let's do the math here. I was 59? 59? Yeah, I guess I was 59 and you were 57 because you had not turned 58 yet. Do you want to talk about our generational differences right now? I don't think we've spoken of them.
Okay, boomer. Nah.
This is so unfair.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes,
we're 17 months apart. Have we not?
Well, I know there's a thing called Generation Jones, etc., but it's so much more rewarding for me to just say, okay.
Yeah.
So
15 months.
let's leave it at that.
Yes.
Now,
okay.
Dating in the last third of your life.
Can I ask you some questions about dating? Because I was extremely inexperienced, which we'll get to in a minute, but I want to start with you. Okay. So before you met your husband, how much dating had you done?
Well, I guess it depends on what you call dating.
Yeah, well, define dating, because we had a discussion about this in the
right.
car the other day, and it turned out we had a disagreement on this.
Yeah, for me, dating constituted anything where I went out to dinner or any kind of an event with a guy that I knew had a crush on me. So to me, I was dating quite a lot.
Dating a lot of people.
Yeah.
Okay, and at what age did dating commence for you under the terms you just described?
Oh, dear God. Okay, so I was sort of hopeless. I was afraid I was going to die a spinster when I was 14, 15, because I couldn't get a date if my life depended on it. I don't think I mean, I lived in Sweden. All the really popular girls were blonde and had, boobs and butts, and I was sort of a stick-figure giraffe. And so, no, I had absolutely no dates in my earlier teen years. But once I got to Paris and I was 15, all of those 40 and 50-year-old guys were just crazy to date me.
How much dating in that zone did you do at that age?
You mean with the older men?
Yes, with the much older men.
Not that. I did think they were kind of old. I did fancy the guys that were only about, I don't know, max 10 years older than I.
Okay, let me try this on you. Did you get asked out like a proper, can I get your number? Or I just saw you at the bus stop. I want to ask you out. Did that happen to you in your teens?
Not very often. Obviously, I was working full time from the time I was 15. And so I was mostly just exposed to the, guys that I was working with, which were young photographers, photo assistants, the, odd straight hairdresser here and there. And that was my dating pool. And of course, you'd work and then they'd be like, hey, go out and, have a drink or, meet you at the nightclub. And I'd say, sure. And I count that as a date. But although I already
Fine.
I would accept if I thought they were cute, and I wouldn't accept if I thought they weren't cute. And in fact, my dating standards were incredibly low.
What do you
Um,
in that you would say yes to anyone who asked you out?
I would say yes to guys because I liked their leather jacket, or because they had, or because I ended up going, like, actually dating a guy for like maybe 2 months because he had a good record collection. I don't think I liked anything else about him.
Okay. Reason I'm asking all these questions
Mm.
is I want to draw a contrast between that,
Eh,
you know, teens, because you
that's right.
met your
I
soon-to-be husband when
I
you were 19.
I met
Correct?
my husband at 19, and then obviously I did not date again until until 50, and not even then, 53, 54, something like that. And the same, like, let's turn over the interviews to you, Mr. Greenstein.
Yes.
So you weren't much of a dater, were you?
No. No. There was no dating for me. I say this, and this is the discussion we got into in the car the other day. I maintain that I did not go on a proper, like, ask her out, pick her up, take her to dinner kind of date until I was like 56 years old.
Yeah, that's true. Because Jeff's version of dating, folks, was not daring to ask a woman out, but rather what he calls, this is his term, and I love it, strategic cozying. Can you tell us a little bit?
Yes, strategic cozying. Thank you. Strategic cozying was how I approached desirable young women in the years in advance of my marriage. I got married at 27. So for the 10 years that preceded that, I was in a series of longer term relationships. How did I meet these women? I would meet a woman I was interested in. I would cozy up to her. We would typically start as friends, and then at some point, some Rubicon would be crossed. I would declare myself, or it would get very late one night and things would start to happen, but it always arose out of a friendship. There was never a formal, like, oh my God, look at that hot girl at the bar. I'm going to go up to her and ask for her phone number, and then I'm going to call her and see if she's available Friday night. That never happened. So, starting in high school, college, post college, when I moved to LA, I was a serial monogamist. I was in relationships of between 3 and 4 years, one in high school, short one in high school, one that went all through college, one that started right after I moved to LA. And then not long after that, I met the woman who I would ultimately marry. All of these relationships emerged out of strategic cozying. And I think a lot of the nerdier men in our audience can probably sympathize with this strategy.
It seems to have worked for you, but also,
Did it though? Anyway, go ahead. That's
well,
fine. That's fine.
yeah, anyway, I was gonna say, but also our roles, Jeff and I, are sometimes it's not gender roles, but we are a little reversed in that to me, I can separate sex from love. I can just go out because I want to have sex and sleep with somebody just because I want to have sex. And that's it. I don't need a relationship. Thank you very much. Now, over to my partner, and he's like,
What? That option was not open to me.
Wuthering Heights. It's like, oh,
No.
oh, but do you not love me? Because I
It
can't.
isn't just that. You're making it about how, like, I was the girl who couldn't sleep with someone unless I really had feelings for them.
Yes, that's
That does happen to be true, but let's go beyond, because the fact is, I mean, come on, it goes without saying, I did not have not part of it is because I'm a guy, okay? Guys can't just, with rare exception, just sort of kick the doors open and say, "Hey, ladies," and they will flock. You had that decided advantage. Come on.
no, actually, I don't know. Most guys were really intimidated by it.
Okay.
That
All right.
unless they were older and incredibly rich,
Okay.
probably a part of Epstein's circle. I
Jeez. All right.
terrible
But
joke. Sorry.
okay. So just to step aside from the stereotypic sex role, okay, you're saying that you were cool with the idea of just spending time with a guy because you thought it might be fun to have sex with him, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I mean, I grew up in Sweden, so I was taught culturally, I was taught that, a woman's needs are the same as a man's. We enjoy sex. Sex is sort of like a good tennis game. It's sporty, healthy, good. It's good for you.
I
And
I just see the flights to Sweden spiking as this goes out there. People are like, wait a second, that's the women's attitude in
I
Sweden. How do I get there?
I think things may have changed a little bit
Mm.
since, unfortunately. But in the 70s in Sweden, this was wonderful because growing up a young girl, sexuality was something that I could fully claim, and I would choose the men. They didn't get to choose me all that much. Interestingly, then later on, I actually always went with men that chose me. So I didn't work. I didn't use that skill as much as I should have, but I did for sex, just not for relationships.
All right.
Anyway, so this is to say that yes, our dating lives ended. They started and ended very early on, and then long periods of just ditto monogamous, serial monogamist over here. I can have sex with people just for the sex of it, but I will only be in a relationship very committedly with one person.
Right.
And so uh when I went got back on the market um after my husband's death, uh it was an entirely different deal, and it was incredibly frightening, incredibly scary, incredibly intimidating for both of us.
Okay. All right. I want to talk about you first because I think a lot of people are going to find it hard to believe that you had issues once you put yourself out on the market. Okay. How old were you at this point when you re entered the dating world?
I think I got on the dating apps when I was about 15.
Did you get on apps right away? Was that the first move you made? Or did friends try and fix you up?
Um, Actually, I think I sort of fell into a quickie relationship post my husband, and that ended in disaster. And the man, who was 5 years older than I, within 3 days was set up with like 10 dates with much younger women. Meanwhile, I looked around to all my friends and like I'm saying, so is there anybody you can set me up with? I mean, your dad,
No one in your life said, I have a great guy for you.
no, there was one setup, that like obviously didn't go anywhere, but no, there was no setups for me. There were like my girlfriends sort of looked at me and they were like, well, the men of quality are taken, and the ones that I know that are single, you're not gonna want.
Okay, I want to just stop there and because there's a lot of information packed into a few sentences there because I do think that there is a decided dichotomy in the dating market for older and in this case guys, forgive us. We're talking about heterosexuals, okay? Because that's what we are.
And that's
Okay.
the only thing we have.
It's the only thing we have
We know.
meaningful
Yeah.
experience.
Although I did date some ladies too.
Okay. Do you want to talk more about that?
Well, not at the moment, but
Not at
I
the
just want to say I would be a delighted lesbian because I think women are really interesting. So if you ever croak, I'm going all female.
Okay. All right. Uh, I have no experience with men, in spite of the fact that I was a film and dance major in college. I did get hit on by guys, but it's just not my thing. Um, I saw one of the comments on our
Many
Instagram about
comments.
Z saying gay vibes. I don't know what to tell you guys. It stops at the vibes. Okay, that said,
Best kind of a
okay,
guy.
I know that's what she always says. Give me a straight guy with gay vibes.
Yes.
Okay, so I would say by contrast, when I got out of my marriage, I was I mean, all my friends said, "I have fix-ups for you." I guess because there is a dearth of single, available, interested, hopefully not fatally damaged men on the market, right?
There's in fact such a dearth that I had to go through like 60 frogs
Yeah.
to find a human.
I would like to just stop here because, as we said, I always like the idea to think that this is a podcast that is not just two people talking, but this is an extended conversation. And I would like to hear from the men and women in our podcast audience about whether that was the case for them. Did the men find they had more opportunities than the women when they were on the dating market in what we will call middle age? Because I would say anecdotally, what you just said is true.
Yeah.
That women have much less opportunities. Also, we should say, like,
Okay, and this is when we get
yes,
Well, actually, I'm sorry, I'm skipping a little bit, but,
Totally fine.
this sort of leads me into, okay, so, uh, dating apps. Yes, of
Yeah.
course, you can meet IRL, the friends introductions. That would be wonderful if you have friends that have friends, great. We are asked all the time whether we have, and we're never asked if we have female friends. It's always, "Do you have any male friends for me?" So,
Yeah, I get the,
it
"Does he have a brother?" a lot.
and in fact, you do.
I have 2 brothers,
Yes,
and
and
one of them's very much single.
one
Anyway,
is kind of single-ish, yes.
I want you to talk about dating apps, okay? Because you skipped very quickly
Mm.
to the dating app option.
Well, because I didn't have any other options.
Okay, we
I was
have
set up with one guy. Actually, I totally forgot. I was set up with a really lovely man. That just didn't go anywhere because we were, two very different birds.
yes.
But he was. That was no. That was a kind of a fun affair.
Okay.
Anyway, after that, but I did sort of sign up for the apps right away because I saw my friends around, the ones that were single that had gotten the gray divorce. You guys
Yes.
know what that refers to, right?
Tell me what that is.
Well, it's a gray divorce. I guess it's divorcing after your kids are out of the nest, and you look at your husband and he looks at you, and you realize you have nothing in common anymore. It's either that or you're like, "You know what? I'm kinda done making your coffee and washing your socks. How about you do it for yourself?"
Well, I would say because this is the time of life when both of
Oh,
us.
wait, or there's the option of, "Wait, you're not hot anymore. My secretary is way hotter." So, that
Okay.
one.
Well, I think for a lot, and this didn't just happen to me, but a lot of sort of families in my social circle, when the last kid goes off to college, the one thing you could always agree upon has departed.
Mm.
If you could manage to put aside your differences and agree on something, it was putting the kids' needs first. And when they leave for college, all of a sudden, that nucleus departs.
The purpose of why you guys are together, yeah.
Yeah, so I guess that is sort of the definition of the gray divorce. Okay, that
Yeah.
said, okay, so I think you said to me, did you sign up for a bunch of apps all at once?
Well, okay. So first I signed up for Raya. And for those of you who know, you're probably cringing and going, ew. And for those of you who don't know, be prepared to cringe. It's a famous people
I
dating
guess,
app.
I mean, okay, this is the app we met on.
Mm.
I was only on one app, and it was this because after my marriage ended, I was fixed up by a friend, and thereupon ensued a very nice 3-year relationship, which probably should have been a 2-year relationship. But that said, when that relationship foundered, I moped around for a while. And then a friend of mine said, I'm going to send you an invitation for a dating app, Raya. Now, I had never considered being on an app. And when I looked up what Raya was, you had to like apply to be on it. Maybe you didn't. Did you?
No, I also had to
Oh,
apply. I had a friend, though, that vouched for me, so I got in really quickly. And actually, at that point, you also got in really quickly.
but for an entirely different reason. Because I am not interesting or famous. But
I mean, you were one of the head writers on Friends.
yeah, okay, but
But great.
that doesn't count.
Desperate
No,
Housewives.
I will tell you guys, this is going to horrify people, but I'm going to tell you, and I don't know if this is true anymore of Raya. I don't know if this is true of other dating apps, but I will tell you that part of the application process for this app was you allow them to scan your address book. Did they do this for you?
I have no idea,
Okay.
but I don't think so. I think the person that recommended me was, you know,
Higher up in the
was
hierarchy.
was kind of fabulous, and she once she recommended me, and they were like, "Oh, okay, great. No, we'll."
Well, I would say I am not famous or fabulous. I don't think they care about my credits. You know, the old joke is, did you hear the one? This is so bad. Am I going to tell this joke?
Which one?
It's like a Polish joke. Should I even do this?
I'm not okay.
Okay, I'll tell it.
But
You know what? I'm going to tell it about an Iowan because in Minnesota they make jokes about Iowans. Okay, did you hear one about the Iowan starlet who went to Hollywood? She slept with the writer,
oh, that's like
the
it's like in the rock world. It's like she slept with a
the drummer.
yeah.
Okay, so no one is interested in the writer. Okay, so but Raya, except I know they thank God. Okay, but it scanned my address book, and I will say this: in spite of being supremely unfabulous myself, I have a lot of fabulous people in my address book from all those cool ass shows I worked on. So I guess they kind of crunched the numbers and said, well,
Anyway,
he knows what. So I got in.
yeah,
Is
you got the point is that you got in. Now, here comes the interesting bit,
okay,
right?
go.
Because this app, like all of the other dating apps, wait, let me put a pin in that. I'm going to return to this in one moment. First, I
Yes.
want to just say that dating apps, okay, dating apps, all of you women who have written to me or, talked to me out on the street or talking about dating and apps, and you say, I just can't do
I'm
it.
so glad you're stopping to do this.
Yeah,
You have
this is
always said
important.
to me, you've always said to me that dating apps significantly level the playing field for women.
Yes.
Okay, and that they are a boon to women, particularly older women. I want you to really take a
Uh,
beat here and talk
yes.
about why.
Well, just quickly, dating apps are a godsend for us older women specifically because in IRL, in real life, say you go to a party, or you go to some sort of a group meeting or somewhere where you're hoping to meet, a like-minded person and perhaps somebody interesting. You're always going to be passed over for the younger woman that's there. I cannot tell you, and I know people don't believe this that haven't actually been with me, but I attended lots of parties. I went to the opening of an envelope, like I would be anywhere. I was like, I was looking for my duck partner. Um, and I would be standing talking to a guy, and he would just walk away from me mid-sentence because a younger woman walked by. So I was getting this. So uh
You have to believe her, audience
yeah,
members.
my friends can attest to it. They were there. Even it didn't even have anything to do with, like, literally, like, what you said or how you looked or how you were dressed. It had to do only with age. I mean, it's mind-boggling.
What?
So, on a dating app, you put well, except
You
the women
fine. It's okay.
women do lie about their age, and men
Men lie
uh, uh,
about their height, but I'm 6'7", so I didn't have to do that, thankfully.
yeah. And I obviously would never lie about my age because, like, what's the point? And also, you can look my age up because I've been a public figure since I was like 3. Anyway, so on that dating app, you put out what you want for a person to know about you. This is how you present yourself. And so the people that contact you, there's like you have a little bit of um, what do you call it? Like
Like a what? Like a pool? What?
no, like a head start. That's the word I was looking for. You have a little bit of a head start because they know how old you are, and they know that you're looking for a relationship and what sort of a relationship you're looking for. Obviously, if you're in a nightclub or a bar or something, you don't know if they are married, if you're married. Are you looking for just sex? Are you looking for a relationship? Are you looking, on a dating app, you can put all of this down, and then when a guy contacts you, he's done so knowing that you are
So it's
56 or 55.
so it's a way of skipping a lot of preliminaries and avoiding a lot of wasted time. Is that the idea?
Yes, but then, of course, and then this is when we get to how you present yourself on a dating app. So, as I said,
Dear.
women usually shave off some years, and girls, ladies, not a good idea.
Oh, you would
Because,
say don't lie.
oh, I would say absolutely do not lie.
Really?
Oh my God, no, because if you lie, you're gonna attract guys that are attracted to the lie.
Do you know what I ran into a few times is a woman would post her age, we would connect on the app, and her second or third text was, "Just so you know, I'm actually 53."
As opposed to,
50.
oh, like 3 years would
I
matter.
know, oh, but this it was weirdly they were so anxious about being walled out because of being a certain age that they would lie, but then they would cop to the lie right away once they had engaged your interest.
Yeah, once you nibbled. Okay, so
What do you think of that strategy?
well, actually, I absolutely understand it. I never did it because, again, my age is easily Wikipedia'd, but this is a good time to let people know what the apps, and this is all dating apps, do this.
Oh my gosh. Okay. Should I mention this thing I did on Sunday, or are we not getting to that thing yet?
We can
We'll get to it in a bit.
yeah.
One of the things I didn't understand, okay, when people say to me, "How in the world did you meet her on a dating app?" And I said, "Well, she was out there, right?" And you said that you got very, very few nibbles on this particular.
On Raya, I slept with the 2 men that were interested in the first year, and then I got nothing but Icelandic DJs who were 35 and in Iceland.
And I will tell you why. When you, and again, I only have experience with this one out. You can speak to everything else. But on Raya, there's a slider with a top and a bottom, and it's called an age gate. And it signifies what is the minimum and maximum age you are interested in. Okay? Now, in my case, as I said, when I got on this app, I was like 57, 58, something like that. I'm not interested in 25-year-olds. I'm not even interested in 35 or really even 45-year-olds. I'm looking for a contemporary. I don't want to live out the Steely Dan song, Hey 19, right? I want to actually find someone who could be a potential partner. I'm looking for someone who's at the same phase of life that I am, right?
Equal, an
Yes,
equal
and
partner.
so when I set that age gate, 57-year-old me, I said like at the low end, I said like 52, 53. And I hate to tell you guys, the women in the audience are going to hate hearing this. The top number available, the top of the slider was 60. That was the top of the slider.
No, no,
Like beyond 60,
no, no,
what?
55.
I was that
55.
that's so
55
depressing.
was the top age that
55
you
plus or just 55, whatever.
well, it ended at
It ended at
55.
55. So me, I was like, I had dated a 63-year-old woman the year before. We had a wonderful time. It was really great. I'm not hung up on that. I'm so, and I
By the
like
way, guys, I'm smiling because I love a man who is not afraid of a woman of equal or older age. Somebody
older
who
women are
finds
sexy and fantastic and well traveled, and so
that
I'm not looking for the kind of, shrinking violet, the paternalistic relationship dynamic. That was not interesting to me. So I set that slider to the tippity top. And so when people say to me, "How did you meet Paulina on a dating app?" It's like, that's how. And I'll tell you who else. Can I say who else I saw
no,
on this app?
no, no.
I will just say a lot of other bold faced names were on this app. And when I saw,
Beautiful,
yes,
accomplished,
women you know
super
who were
successful women
legit on the app.
who all of you guys know,
Yeah.
who are on the app and who are getting as few hits as me because they happen to be over 55. It's not that it's not so much that we didn't exist, but like most guys, I think they set age gate up to like maybe 50 because every 60-year-old deserves a 40. I mean, that's as old as you're gonna go. So yeah, they missed out on me and all my contemporaries that were on the dating app.
Yeah. Yeah. So
And they don't have a height age for men, and they should.
yeah, they should. There should be a height gate. Okay, so that's thing one. So that was one of the one of the reasons we saw each other on this app is that I was not only willing but eager to date a woman who at the time was 58, 50,
Yes,
58,
58. And me and all my contemporaries were languishing on this app because of the age gate and because of stupid guys who
stupid guys.
yeah, because of immature,
Yes.
silly
But let
little
me ask you, so you still, in spite of what I just said, which is a completely unfair dichotomy, right? It's a double standard. You would still say to women, don't lie.
yeah, I would still say don't lie, just but that's maybe because that's my own issues. I can't handle lying. I don't think even a small little lie to attract that you can then
Undo.
clear up. I just it's
It's not
more trouble than it's worth.
I,
And I mean I have to say, fine. I went on first dates with a lot of guys who uh you know bolstered a couple of inches on their
lied about their height.
lied about their height.
What else
And
do guys lie about?
some of them also lied about age,
Age.
and those guys were truly creepy because if you're gonna lie, if you're gonna say you're 52 so that you can pull in a 35-year-old, I really don't want to know you.
Yeah.
Um, Usually, and sometimes they lied about their accomplishments, guys. Like
Really?
they would lay really heavy on a former career that since had really not been existent for 20 or so years. I met a few guys um that put photos of themselves from like 40 years ago.
Yes. Okay, this is the next thing I want to get to. In addition to the fact that you were conducting a volume business, you were on many apps
Okay,
as your real self.
so I because I struck out with Raya, I wasn't getting any dates on Raya. I then decided I was going to go on every app that my girlfriends had said was good. So I went on Hinge, I went on Bumble, I even went on Tinder because somebody had met their husband on Tinder. I went on some app called The League, which was kind of
Yeah.
whatever.
JD. Should you do what about that?
Oh, I should have.
Sonny shouldn't have gone on JB. We would have accepted you. I still maintain my father would have believed you were
I I
secretly Jewish.
I thought you had to be Jewish to be
Okay.
on Jaded. I didn't realize that that
You
was.
signed up for a bunch.
I signed up for, practically all of them. I keep saying it's like Grinder. I didn't, but that's
Yeah.
literally the only one I missed out on,
In a
except for Jake.
moment, I want to talk about how we represent ourselves on these apps. Okay.
Yes.
In a moment. But first, so how did you approach this? You always said it was like a volume business. Like, I got to go out and kiss a lot of frogs. I want you to talk about the psychological mindset that you, who, as you said, had not kind of avidly dated in advance of meeting your husband, now you are putting yourself out there. How did you approach it emotionally? What was the day to day, week to week? I'm very curious about this.
Well, I decided on dating as a job. Okay, and this again, this goes back to I did a lot of self-work and I traveled by myself. I did a lot of things by myself and I sort of came to understand that I am not an eagle, as I like to call it. I am not a bird that is made to fly the heavens by them by their powerful selves. I am a duck. I like a duck partner. I like to waddle around in the pond with lots of other ducks. So, having narrowed that down, I thought, okay, so it's my job to go and find my mate, my duck mate, which is, I believe, a gander.
Yeah, what's good? That's a goose in the can.
Oh dear,
It's a drake.
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 Oh, that's actually much sexier.
Drake.
So I
And
went
not
to find
the
my Drake.
singer Drake because nobody needs that. Okay,
Well,
but
not my type.
okay.
Too young.
Yeah.
Anyway, so
Okay, so talk so you took it on. I love this what you said.
well,
You took it on as a job.
I because I had focused it down to that I really was happier with a partner than I was alone. Um that I'm just happier with company. And my girlfriends who are single and on the apps sort of said, "Hey, you know what? It's in the numbers." Like they would do literally I have girlfriends that would do drive-by dates.
What is the drive-by?
Drive-by date, well, if you're in LA, you just like stop your car and you're like, "Hey, what's up? Nice to meet
No,
you."
come on.
And then
That's prostitution. What are you talking about?
when you decide if you actually want to have a coffee with them or not.
Hold on a moment. What do you mean you drive up, you roll down the window, you look at her, and it's like, eh?
And you're like, "Hey, do you want a coffee with you? Hey, so
That sounds so much like a scene from Pretty Woman.
yeah, well, it
Who's in the car?
minus the money,
Okay,
okay?
who's in the is the girl in the car?
Well, I think usually the guy would be in the car.
That's even more prostitute-y.
What? Oh, yeah, you were right.
Or
But
anyway.
take prostitution out,
Okay.
okay? This has nothing to do with money. This has to do with
Checking each
women
out.
women getting disappointed, and I guess men as well, getting disappointed too many times. And for all of you who don't like this dating app business and you're like, you don't know what you're gonna get. It's true. You don't know what you're gonna get. You might have you might have found a profile that you thought this guy's really interesting and you get to the date and he might not be the promised 5'8". He might be 5'2". He might not be 60 years old. He might be 85. I mean, he might let you pay for dinner because he actually doesn't have any money. And his business flourished, yes, in the 80s.
Right.
All of this has happened to me,
Okay,
by
wait.
the way.
A couple other questions. I'm sorry, because again, not very experienced in this regard. Okay. So again, putting to the side for a moment what might make you click on a profile. Once you have connected on Raya, you can text via the app,
Right.
and then you can decide at that point, whether you want to give your actual phone number, and then you can figure out how it progresses from there. Did you have a typical protocol? In other words, like we had an initial interaction via text that was so great that
That I gave you my number after about, 4
we
exchanges of
had a
text?
yeah, I
Yes.
mean, we discovered a shared love of Monty Python, Jonathan Richman, I Claudius, Roman history, and then it was like bam. And then, and just to talk about our specific circumstance for a moment. At the time, I was living in LA, you were living in New York.
Mm.
We really didn't do phone calls. We were texting for a while, and then I said to you, "Would you like to get on FaceTime and have a conversation?" And we did that for a month before we ever met in
It was
person.
like the not the
It
Brontes, it was like, the Brownings, Elizabeth Barrett Browning and Robert
Right.
Browning, where they just wrote, like, deep, heartfelt letters to each other for, like, years, and then they met and got married.
Was on, yeah. So we had a month of it's very unusual. I haven't met anyone else who had a courtship like this. There was something kind
Kind of an
of
old-fashioned
Victorian
Victorian.
about it,
Yeah?
but we just talked. And I should stress, when I tell people this, they're like, "Oh, it was sexy talk." No, it was just we were having a conversation. Yeah, I know. I have weird light on my. It's just this is the way it is, guys. I'm gonna slide
That's
this
a
so that I know.
home-brewed
There's light coming off this white table that makes me kind of mottled, but it's a whatever, whatever. I'm mottled anyway.
Well,
Okay.
you're not.
Anyway, but but that was an unusual circumstance, I would say. Wasn't that an unusual circumstance? You didn't talk to any other guys for a month.
Oh gosh, no, 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 you were the only one. But,
How did it
wait,
typically,
give
what
me
was the,
1 second because I have to just backpedal on
yeah,
us, so it's in the numbers. So I'm subscribed to 6 different dating apps, and I and yes, you talk to people on the apps through the apps for your safety. So
right.
everybody actually has your number. And obviously in my case it was a little extra because, I would get those people that were all like, "Are you the Paulina Poroskova? Oh my god, I can't believe, I can't wait to tell my friends." It's like I'm chatting with a supermodel, which by the way is
Not hot?
not hot. No, those guys would not actually get a date. Um, and so yeah, you have to feel out a little bit from sort of texting.
Did you have any like tells or specific kind of questions you would ask to sort of ferret out whether this was a guy who was worthy of further investigation, or were you just going on instinct?
Well, I always for me, it really mattered that the man had been in a committed relationship before. I didn't want to be dating a man who was 60 and had never committed and didn't have children.
Why?
Well, because I feel like for me, and this is only true for me. I wanted my equal, and my equal would be somebody who has gone through relationships, who has learned to do better, or who wants to learn to do better, who understand what it's like to be a parent, and will understand that we will always put our children ahead of anything else, that our child will always be our priority. And if you don't have children, you might not necessarily understand it that deeply. I'm not saying that you won't, but it's just easier. I have to spend less energy on teaching you what matters to me because you have the same set of requirements or priorities. And so I will always made sure that was some of the first things that I would ferret out, and that it and then most of it, and if the people seemed funny and sort of funny and not starstruck, I would usually give them a date.
Okay.
'Cause why not?
This is where we're going to talk about how you represent yourself before we go a little further. Is that okay? Can we talk about this now?
Sure.
Because people are always, first of all, surprised to hear that you were under your real name.
Well, I had to be.
Well, in some cases, they don't let you use a fake name, but people are always like, "Did you know it was actually her?" It's like, well, yeah, I assumed it was actually you because, as I said, there were other bold faced names who seemed to be actually themselves. But we represented ourselves very differently on this app. May I describe how you represented
Yes,
yourself?
and I can describe you.
That's exactly what I thought, that would be a more fun way to do it. Here's what I remember.
This is what he got out of my profile.
Okay. I remembered, I think your profile was a bit of a masterpiece because I think it was first of all, specifically designed to disabuse you of the notion that what you are getting is what you saw on the cover of Sports Illustrated. Okay. If you think you are getting a fantasy sylph, this is not who you are. There were pictures of you with your kids,
Mhm.
there were pictures of you in a sloppy apron with crazy hair,
Like
like
insane.
looking like a slob, no makeup,
Mhm. Right, very thick glasses.
thick glasses, right? Because you do wear chunky glasses, right? And the only reference, and I love this so much, I always tell people this story. The only reference to your history as a pinup was you in front of one of those posters giving the double finger. I saw that and I was like, I want to meet that girl. I want to meet that girl. And I will also say this. In addition, I don't remember exactly how you described yourself. I think you maybe said, writer, accidental former supermodel. It was very similar to what you say in
Yeah.
your Instagram
Yeah.
profile. But I do remember that the song you chose, which underscored these photos, because that's how Raya does it, it creates a little montage of your photos and a song you chose. Your song was the Galaxy song from Monty Python's Meaning of Life. Now, that's probably not a song that a lot of people in our audience are going to know. Even if you know songs from Monty Python movies, it's their weakest movie, but it is a great song about how insignificant we are in the universe.
Yeah, their weakest
And for
movie's a
me,
really cool movie, but
so yeah, yes. But in addition to these photographs, which to me were a thumb in the eye to anyone who thinks they know what they're getting, which I loved, was, oh my God, a comedy song about astronomy from a Monty Python movie? You are right in my strike zone. Okay.
so
Meanwhile,
meanwhile, what I got was, two like hellos from two separate men on January 1st, 2023. One of them was kind of a not a sort of a handsome-ish lawyer that seemed too young for me.
I mean, not like,
Nah.
uh,
And then this bald guy with
oh, you're talking about me now?
oh
Yeah. Okay. All right.
with an admitted twinkle in the eye, but some really unfortunate glasses that made him look like a demented dentist from a Cronenberg movie. And then there was a picture of him leaning up against the mint green Volvo.
It's ash blue, but thank
Well,
you.
it
And
was
it's a 1966 Volvo.
a
So
photo of you biking in like silly little shorts, and I mean, let me just okay. Jeff has a fantastic monologue that he does, and you can check this on YouTube as well. Fantastic monologue about his misadventures on this dating app and how he managed to lure me through all of these unfortunate little things he planted, thinking that I guess he was attracting women, not realizing that women were choosing to date you despite your profile.
this is what I,
That's how
okay.
that's how
How
hard up
tragic
they
you are.
are
Oh, yes, exactly.
that
It was so hard up that a guy with a profile this bad still got dates.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, and what he wrote about himself was no better. It was just basically a mass of contradictions. I am white and I'm black, and I am happy and I'm sad. And it was a lot of that kind of stuff. And then
Yeah,
what saved
what was the
this,
only thing, again, as P said, I did a monologue about this called Observational Proficiency. It's in my YouTube bio. I've
which is absolutely hilarious.
here's
So if you're curious, please
you want
go
to
and
it's
check it out.
11 minutes of your time. Okay, but that said, what was the one thing that I did right?
Well, accidentally put on the perfect track, musical track by a
Was it Van Morrison? Was it
had you put down Van Morrison, you would have never heard from me,
Can we
ever.
before you reveal what it was, can we talk about dating app, well, for you, don'ts? In other words, like,
Oh, yes, let's okay, and oh my god, there's so much to say about dating. We might have to do dating part 2.
yes, that's, oh my God, do you see we're
Yes, I
47
know.
minutes
So,
into
like,
this? Goodness.
either we just talk too much, but
Yeah.
there's just too much information to develop. You know what? Let's make this
Part one.
let's make this dating part 1, okay?
Yeah.
So, because here's the thing that I really wanna say to you ladies out there and gentlemen. When you're building a profile of yourself on the app, if you use pictures of yourself that are the most attractive, the most flattering, the best ones so that you get the attention because you know you're really cool people and you feel like if you put out photos and things about yourself that are not as flattering, it will discourage people. Well, you should, because you should discourage those people that are so superficial that they can't look past you in glasses or you with no makeup.
So you would say, all right, if you're a model, don't put up 6 modeling
Oh
shots.
my god, no, that's a terrible thing to do, say that but look, I don't know how many, older models are out there
Okay,
looking
but the
for love,
point
there
is,
might be
if what
some,
you're
but
trying to foreground is your beauty,
if what you're trying to foreground is like me for the way I look, then by all means do that. But if you're actually looking for a mate and not just sex, if you're looking for a mate, you gotta let your dirty laundry show.
you did do that.
Uh-huh. Because I only wanted to attract the kind of man that would look at those pictures and go, that that's funny. I like that. And like a woman that's real.
She had a picture of Ludwig, who is right at our feet here, Ludwig the dog, with a Post-it note across his forehead that said dog.
My sense of humor.
I found this really funny. Why would you expend one of your precious 8 photos on something like that? Because it telegraphs something about your
It
personality.
telegraphs how I think, what I find
Yes.
funny, what I like, who I actually really am. And so I think this is really important for all of you because and also I have lots of friends who when later on I would say, show me your profile. Let me see your profiles. Boy, their profiles were a catastrophe.
Okay, vet your profile with smart friends, ideally of the sex you are looking to attract.
That is the best advice.
I was so foolish about this. Then you're going to tell what the song was. I was so foolish about this. I picked 8 photos, and as I said, they're described in the monologue, and my description of myself, that's all in the monologue. Go check it out. But I did not ask. I have a lot of excellent female friends,
Yes.
really strong
Far
relationships
more female friends than you have male friends, actually.
by a factor of 10. And it would have been smart to say to them, hey, will you take a look at my dating profile, see if you feel this is like an adequate representation of the best of what I am? That's what I should have done. And the thing P just said, it has to be actually you.
Yeah.
It can't be a hyper idealized, aspirational version of yourself or how you looked 10 years ago, because all you're doing, it's almost like you're putting like lemonade inside a milk carton.
Yeah.
Like when they open the milk carton and they pour it and they get lemonade, they're just going to be disappointed.
Yeah.
And so promising something that you're not actually going to deliver on is going to lead to disappointment on both sides of the table.
You're gonna be humiliated when you show up for the date and they look at you and they're like, "Oh God, I thought you were, you looked much younger, or I thought you were
Yeah.
something else, or I thought you were thinner, or I thought you were taller, or whatever."
I wanted to show that I was kind of sporty. So I had a, I know. What's, no, wait, come on, come on. I am a cyclist. Does that count as sporty?
You're incredibly good at it.
Okay.
Yes.
But I have a photograph of me with my friend's horse. Now
Yeah.
I'm actually kind of afraid of horses.
You, I mean,
But I put that in the dating profile because I wanted to seem like I was kind of sporty and horsey. I'm not.
it was a terrible mistake.
The thing I gave the least thought to was this song. It
Correct.
was the last thing I chose. I think a lot of guys would pick Van Morrison, Jackson Brown, Neil Young, Joan Armatrading, Joni Mitchell, somebody kind of soaring and romantic and aching and heartfelt and cool. What was the song I chose, darling?
Well, but most of you are not gonna know this, but it was a song called "Modern World" by Jonathan Richman and the Modern Lovers. Jonathan Richman is one of my, personal favorite, I guess, troubadours is what I would, call him. I love the Modern Lovers. I love Jonathan Richman and all his, single efforts. But he was my husband produced a couple of his records, and so I know Jonathan, personally.
Your son,
And
Jonathan.
it's kind of named for Jonathan Richman because that's how much I loved him. And, so this was a real one-off. It's like you couldn't have calculated or premeditated. This was like literally the universe or God or whatever you believe in, the higher power
Yes.
that took us and said, "And now you 2 shall connect."
It
Eh,
is, when I tell people this was the song, they are flabbergasted. It's a goofy, It's not even a I mean, I guess it's a love song because it's a guy telling a girl that he likes him, but it is so goofy and awkward and stumbling, and as I said, the thing I gave the least thought to.
Yeah, and
And yet
you couldn't have known how much what that meant to me, and also, and look, I looked past the dreadful profile pictures, I looked past the dreadful sales
Christian,
description,
I know,
and I went straight to, "Oh, he's got great taste in music."
and
Now, I do have to say with this as well, that most male profiles, just like Jeff said, would have sort of predictable music.
yes.
It's either what's hot right now to show you how with it they
Imagine
are,
Dragons.
uh-huh, or a lot of Van Morrison. It seems like a
Oh,
lot of guys think that that's really super hot
they
to women.
they think Van Morrison, their favorite film is
The Godfather.
yes, it's, they want to show you a picture of themselves with
A fish.
yes. These are all absolute catastrophic mistakes. If you I mean, again, if you're trying to create like a Sears catalog folio of the generic guy, but the funny thing is, in my case, like as I said, your profile was a masterpiece and actually captured who you are in a beautiful
Well,
way.
it was I had at this point realized that what I was trying to attract was specific. I was not out for, general male gaze. I wasn't really interested in getting 50 replies of guys who want to sleep with me. I wanted to attract somebody who
Well,
thought
who could
more, well, somebody that was my equal. And for
and
to be my equal, you have to get my sense of humor. You have to understand that I will be running around with crazy hair and thick glasses
and then you
and put
don't and
post-it notes on my dog that
to
says,
the
"Go."
posters of
Right,
yourself.
exactly.
Like, and so the thing is, the thing that weirdly, of all that, with all that forethought, the thing that actually best represented my personality was this goofy song.
Yeah, yeah, it's absolutely true. So for all of you out there that are thinking, okay, maybe I should look over my profile again. Yes, please do. Like Jeff said, have your friends of the opposite of the sex that you're trying to attract look over your profile and tell you where you're going wrong. I have I have so many people in my life that were on the dating apps, and when I would look at their apps, I would think, well, you're yeah, this is a nice picture of you from 15 years ago, but you have a lot less hair now. Or yeah, I mean, you look really pretty in this photo from 1989, but it's like, do you really want, is that what you want to lure them in with? And then you're going to have to live up to that. So have somebody sort of vet your pictures because actually people are not very good about being objective about
About themselves.
photos of yourself. I'm very good at it because it's been my
It's your
job
job.
for
Yeah.
my entire life. So I can look at it and I can see, but most people are not very good at this. So please get a second and a third and a fourth opinion.
Okay.
Now, to the description of yourself. Again, if you present only the best parts of you, you will draw somebody that's interested in a person that doesn't exist because you have issues like everybody else, I hope, because otherwise you are not human. Um, Represent yourself truly. Put in, like I said, you let your dirty underwear show. Not all of it, but some of it, so that there's at least an idea of, this is what reality is.
Yeah, this is also in the monologue, which I guess I'm now relentlessly advertising, but the thing that piqued your interest in our first conversation was something I said about myself that was supremely unflattering. Like a staggering admission
Oh, do you mean on our first phone
on
call?
our first phone yes, in our first phone call. I said something
That's true.
about myself, and as I said, it's in this, about the demise of my marriage where I took it on myself. And I don't think that a lot of guys would say that's a smart strategy with a woman you've just met.
Okay, hang on. Let's back.
Yes.
Let's go back a little bit because this is incredibly important. Um, but I'm of two minds of like what, if it's a yes or if it's a no, because things that I always think that whatever I like is sort of like a general barometer of what, a lot of women like, because I feel like I'm not that special.
Hmm.
Like what I like and, what touches me is it's pretty much the same stuff that, all my girlfriends and all my relatives, we're attracted to the same things, touched by the same things, made sad by the same things. So I don't feel like I'm, speaking from a tower down at people that, that don't relate. So um the the first thing here is, wait, now I got completely lost in what I was saying. Well, that was lovely, wasn't it? I
How you represent yourself. We were on the
Oh,
subject
thank
yesterday.
you,
Yeah.
thank you. This is why I need my man close to me so he can remind me, my menopausal brain, about what I was actually trying to say. How you represent yourself. So, and my entire life, I was told that the most valuable part of me was the way I looked. And so that was the most important part of me. And this is how I would find love and money. Uh, and, as you age, that obviously starts going belly up after a while. Um, and and I think I was always so focused on what I thought people wanted me to be, and I would try to be that person. I would show up as that person, and that person wasn't fully me. It was like half of me. And then I would suppress all the other sides of me that I thought weren't as attractive. Part of that was my humor. Part of that was what sort of books or music I liked, because I had been told it was really boring. So I just, I didn't dare to fully inhabit myself because I thought it would turn people off. And by the time I presented myself on dating apps, I thought, no, I'm going to present myself exactly as who I am, because I no longer want to draw in those people who only like half of me. Now, what about you when it comes to um, drawing in? You had, well, Jeff has a slightly different story here. He had a propensity to be attracted to women who he feels or felt were transgressive. Interesting.
Wow. This is like such a big topic you just opened. But I will say that I think all of us, you described a version of it, I think all of us learn over the course of our lives to foreground the parts of ourselves people find most attractive, to lead with them, and to mask and veil and suppress the parts that people seem not to like so much. And I think one of the things that may be specific to dating at this age is that you have an incredible yearning for authenticity. You want the whole person. You don't want the hustle. You've been disappointed by the hustle. You've been you've been disappointed by investing in a person where you went for the outer shell, and then once it was cracked open you realized you were getting something very different. And similarly, you have gotten deceived by presenting yourself as a shell. And then once you are cracked open, people discover they don't like you all that much.
Mhm.
And this goes to a very 20 good summers kind of aspect of this is we do not have the time to waste on pretension and poserism.
Also, when we are younger, certainly as young as we were when we met our significant halves, when you met somebody, my I looked I looked at at the prospective candidates that I wanted to spend the rest of my life with, and thought, well, that quality is not terribly attractive, but I will change that.
Ah,
I
yes.
will. Oh, he will learn.
Exactly.
He
I'll
will
take on a
grow.
project. Oh boy.
Hmm.
If I can fix her up.
I have an entire lifetime to make him see the light, or to make her see the light,
Yes,
right?
exactly.
And at 50 something or 60 something, we just don't have the time.
We have heard from so many people in our social circle and people because we're very curious about older couples and like what drew them to each other and what they've learned. Also couples who have been in long-term relationships who are contemporaries of ours. That idea that you're going to change someone, that they're a good fixer-upper, that we just don't have time for that noise. There's
Mm.
no
We
time
don't have
for
the
it.
energy and or for that matter, we have the wisdom to know that you can't actually change a person that
Yeah,
doesn't want to
exactly.
change.
And that the energy expended in trying to do so is wasted energy. And that, oh my God forbid you manage to refashion this person. They will kick back in ways I mean, you cannot possibly anticipate. No one ever wants to be talked into anything, jollied into something, molded into something. You will rebel. I mean, you are a living embodiment of that. Don't try and tell you who you are. Uh,
Why am I? Why am I? I think I'm.
I think that you always bridle when people make a set of assumptions about you. That's what I'm saying.
Okay.
When people make a set of assumptions about you, you get this kind of fire in you, like, watch this. And you immediately kind of want to upend those perceptions.
Yeah, because at this point I don't have the patience for
Yes.
to trot around it. But we are okay, so look, this ended up being dating in midlife episode
Yes.
the
Part one.
part 1. So we're going to do part 2 next week.
Are we really?
We are going to do part 2 next week, but what we're going to do, because this is, you guys are hanging out with us in our living room. I mean, this is like I said, this is a really grassroots kind of a
Yeah.
homebrewed potato thing. Um, uh, what would be wonderful is for
Now I'm back. Yes.
you listeners out there, is give us
Come
comments.
at us.
Get right to us on 20goodsummers
Gmail.com.
at gmail.com.
Or there's a contact form. All these things go through the same channel. If you write to us at 20goodsummers at gmail.com, there's also a contact form on our website, 20goodsummers.com. All of that stuff goes to our Gmail and goes right to us. You'll get a personal reply from us, and it'll also go in ahead of all the DMs. It's much easier for us to sort through. P has already replied to a bunch of people who wrote to us. I need to do better. But we want to hear from people. This topic, so many people, when we were drum rolling this podcast, said, I need to talk about dating at this age. I need to know not just about our experiences, which I guess we erred on the side of sharing, but like, what do you say to men and women who are putting themselves out there at this age? Do's and don'ts. So we're trying to share a little bit of this, and we'd like to hear your experiences that we can share with the community of this show as well.
That's right. And if you play this podcast and you see this and email us right away, then we will have a chance to answer
Correct.
questions for you next week. As we will continue with part 2 of dating in your last 20 good summers, or 20 good, 20 okay. So
Yes. All right. So rounding this out, traditionally, I like to thank our contributors at the end of.
I mean, I think at this point we've thanked them enough.
I don't know. I just think, okay, I'll just do it real fast. Keith Greenstein is our look and feel. Oliver Okasik is our music. Thanks to both of them. Thanks to the legions who have checked in with us, followed us on Instagram, 20 Good Summers Pod, checked in on the website and emailed us. The amount of love and support that we've gotten is amazing. So thank you for that. And come back for our next one. I always throw it to you at the end to leave them with a closing thought, and you don't seem to like that very much.
No, I really hate that, because that's like saying, what do you want on your tombstone?
Okay.
That's like, oh,
Well, we're not dying.
well,
We're
there's
just coming out
like
for.
come up with something really smart that
All
will be your last. But what if I died after this, and I'll be stuck with that one line? And what if that line is stupid? I'm Eastern European.
Yeah, we'll just already say she's Czech, and this is what you get. If you may be able to hear the dog chomping on his chomp stick right below us, that is the thought we will leave you with. Scritch a dog, and we will see you next week with more about dating.